All right, now to battleground Toronto, where tonight John Tory officially launches his bid for mayor. But his event tonight will certainly be overshadowed by some other headlines from earlier today about the incumbent, Rob Ford. Court documents unveiled today. Well, we're talking about that crack video. The Toronto Sun City Hall Bureau Chief Don Pete joins us with now. And Don, tell us about these particular court documents. What's in them? How are they coming to light? And how are they going to sort of affect the campaign?
Well, the court documents that are coming to light today, they're part of the search warrant applications that Toronto Police made as part of the ongoing investigation into Rob Ford. It's called Project Brazen 2. These documents we've been fighting for in court. The Toronto Sun has been fighting for them along with other media outlets to try to get them to be made public, to shine more light onto this case around the mayor. What we found out today is that these documents contain a detailed description by police of what's in the, quote, Rob Ford crack video, describing him smoking something in a glass cylinder, breathing it in, and then exhaling the vapor. It also reveals that Ford was offered a chance to see the video by police under certain conditions, including that he couldn't talk about what he saw publicly. He declined to do that, to see the video through his lawyer. And we're also learning that the mayor himself, they've been looking at his phones and whether or not he's been in contact with Sandro Lisi, who is charged with extortion in connection with the Rob Ford crack video.
I've spent some time in Chicago covering Chicago politics, governors who go to jail, and all sorts of crazy stuff. And I read this and go, this is Toronto the good. Oh my! And this is the middle of an election campaign where we are hearing, drug trafficking, smoking crack cocaine among the incumbent. And yet, Rob Ford just seems impervious to it. And I'm not sure his numbers, I don't think they go up because of this, but they may not even go down.
Well, we'll see. It does put all this stuff back onto the front page when they had kind of pushed it back off the front page for a while. The mayor continues to be under police investigation, which can't help any candidate, even Rob Ford, who seems impervious to bad media. But I guess we'll see what happens. Rob Ford's kind of like the guy in The Big Lebowski. He abides, right? He abides. Doesn't matter what comes his way, he abides.
What about the other campaigns? What was your sense of the tone from Stintz, from Chow, and from Tory?
Well, I can tell you the Chow campaign, a sign of how professional they are. They were out probably in less than an hour responding to the latest revelations, saying this is evidence of why we need a new mayor here at City Hall, and here's what Chow will do to offer an alternative to Rob Ford. The Tory campaign saying similar things. We need a new mayor. This is proof Rob Ford can't get anything done at City Hall. Soknacki campaign said, whatever comes out, or whether or not the mayor's on the ballot in October, David Soknacki is a proven alternative to Rob Ford. Surprisingly, though, the Stintz campaign hasn't said anything. They're not commenting on these revelations. They actually said they have no comment on them, which is surprising. You'd think there's blood in the water. They'd be jumping.
Pounds, yeah. Don Pete at Toronto City Hall. Thank you, Don. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Sun Media National Affairs columnist Anthony Furey is in our Toronto studio. Anthony, I want to talk a little bit more about this. I don't know if you remember the 2005-06 federal campaign. The Liberals were worried that Stephen Harper was going to beat them up over the head with sponsorship and all the terrible behavior of Liberals back then. And the Conservatives didn't. They just let the Liberals stew in their own ethical misbehavior. They didn't need to say a word. I wonder if that's maybe part of the case here, where Stintz, Tory, and Chow don't really need to pile on. Just let the reporters and the headlines speak for themselves about Ford's misbehavior.
Partially, and they've probably also seen the reports, David, that in past allegations against Rob Ford, and I'm not so much talking about legal matters involving police, but more, here's a video of him saying something that some people would consider racist or whatnot. He's sometimes seen a bit of an uptick in support after that, perhaps some sort of sympathy support. And we can argue as to when that applies and to what circumstances. But I think, and I cautioned campaigners about this before this election even began, that you should not underestimate Rob Ford, one. And two, you should remember that he does not play by the same rules of the game as everyone else. And also the support for him doesn't follow the same rules of the game, the same rationality. So yeah, I mean, I think you're right that they would be. It would be a bad idea for them to harp on this too much. It's probably a bad idea for them to completely ignore it. But at the end of the day, I think, David, they actually acknowledge that this is a wild card and no master strategist out there even knows what to do with the Ford factor.
Yeah, wild card is that capital W, capital C on that wild card. Now, let me ask you about the Tory campaign. It launches tonight. I know you've had some little issues with the way the Tory campaign be manufactured, but give me your sense of Tory versus Chow. So far in any sort of polling we've seen, this includes a poll I did at my own site, Stintz has really been nowhere. So I don't know if this is coming down to Chow, Tory, and Ford, but give me your sense on the other two guys in the race.
Yeah, I don't think Chow versus Tory is actually the issue right now, because I think there are two major mentalities that are driving Toronto politics. One is that the boorish Visigoths of the Ford clan are destroying Toronto and sacking it to pieces, and the other is that tax and spend hardcore socialist Olivia Chow is turning everyone into a ward of the state. Those two mentalities, where does John Tory fit in that? Well, you can argue that he's sort of the middle, non-extremist, compromise candidate, but at the end of the day, David, right now, I think the one thing that the past year has made clear is that Toronto politics is a high-stakes game. Why has John Tory entered this race? Well, I mean, I've heard from some people that, well, it's the right time in his life, and he's got a good team behind him, and, well, you know, some people have said, John, you should maybe run. That's not good enough for this high-stakes game where you've got two very polarizing candidates, and Tory hopes to squeak it down the middle. He has a campaign that so far has been about three one-word planks: livable, functional, and affordable. I really don't know what these mean. Besides the city of Atlantis and the Mars colony, there are no cities in the world that are not livable. I mean, these are just sort of bogus concepts that one creates when you have a very soft front-runner, middle-of-the-road campaign. And like I said, Toronto is not the time and the place for that. So that's the challenge for John Tory. He's got to be himself, not just be not the other guys, which is what he is right now.
Anthony Furey in Toronto for us tonight. Thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate it.
Thanks, David.